I guess people can't really hear us now when we're transmitting. So we are like getting rid of everything and going crazy.
Okay.
So now we're using the computer microphone, which is like, it's like so unprofessional.
Okay.
but I think this is what really gonna give us the edge. Yeah, people are saying that now the sound is really good, so we're on the right track.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear it. So I'm here. Hello. I guess a lot of people down here, they're still alive. So just to recap, so we are at HackerGarage. This week here in Guadalajara has been this large event called Talentland,
Yes.
which is, for those of you that don't know about it, it's actually a pretty amazing event. People are actually camping on site inside a exhibition pavilion. There is drone competition, robotic competitions. There is there was like 2,500 kids coming to something called RoboMath, and at RoboMath they made a special robotics competition where they were like a sumo, where the actual sumo plate was rotating and tilting to the side. So when you design your robot, it has to learn how to move when fighting against moving platforms and stuff. So everything is very different from what you've seen. There is like 5 different hackathons, and there was something very relevant for those of you that are in the maker movement, which is the Makers of Mexico stand, which is like all of the places are represented. Like HackerGarage is represented, but there's people from Mexico City, people from please help me out.
Guaymas.
Aguascalientes.
Monterrey. So it was very interesting. We made a program live where people were coming over and talking about different things. And tonight we will actually do something similar, but in English for our English-speaking audience. So would you tell us, just to close, about the presentation of the HackerGarage? And there you go, the camera again. So can you tell us about one relevant project made here at HackerGarage that you guys are proud of?
There's a story I love, and it involves electronics and Arduinos. So about 2 years ago, 4 years ago. So these two guys from marketing, they approached the space and they knew nothing about electronics. And they just wanted to make cool stuff to use in marketing events. So they came in, they learned about Arduino in our first event. That was February 2013, I think. And then they kept on learning more and more things. And then they connected their Arduino to the internet. And then they eventually built a machine. They built hardware that turns digital interactions into physical rewards. So let's say you approach a restaurant and then you like a certain restaurant right there, and then you receive something because of the machine that dispenses something. Then you can receive something because you have liked the company. And these guys, they knew nothing about electronics, and they ended up building an entire company and receiving funding because of that. Okay. So I love it because anyone can come and learn, and anyone can build whatever they want.
So basically, they started by experimenting with just making a machine, and all of a sudden they got employed, or they employed themselves.
Yeah, and they were in a community where knowledge was free and available, and there was support all the way.
So it's pretty good. So well, you see, this guy's really excited. Probably it's because it's almost 11 in the night, and we've been having a lot of Coca-Cola.
Yes, indeed.
But thank you very much, and thanks. If anybody comes to Guadalajara, you should come by the HackerGarage. It's an amazing place. It has even its own cafe, even though it's closed now.
Yeah.
Has a small garden in the back.
And we'll be doing renovations, so it's going to be entirely, it's going to be elevated to what it is now. It's going to be amazing. So you should check out the website. It's hackergarage.mx. You can see all the things we do there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Happy to be here.
Great. Okay, so now you're finally really live. Well, let's give me a hand. This is super experimental right now. Where like everything I prepared, like mixer board and microphone and headphones and everything, nothing's working. So, but the good news is that we can still run this whole thing, because I have like 3 B plans, one on top of each other. So, which is pretty good. So we have a bunch of people here that are coming from different places in the country, and I feel like inviting everybody. We have some time, but I guess at some point we also need to have dinner. So let's just bring somebody in. Who wants to be first?
Okay.
Yeah, we get the batches people. So okay, as you know, there is the tradition of making batches for conferences.
Yeah.
And so there are some people here that took the very important challenge of designing the batch for the makers, and so they made actually a gender neutral batch collection. So there is a guy and there is a girl, and this is really good. Well, they asked about the website. The website is HackerGarage. I mean, Sebas, can you probably type in HackerGarage.mx? It's gonna be written down for you. Don't worry. So what we're gonna see now is here probably the expert in making the most complicated batches, which an extremely complicated and mixed selection of small, tiny SMD parts, and more importantly, a batch that doesn't have an on and off button. So
okay. It's a common mistake on batches. On the first version of the batches is a very common mistake.
Okay. So please introduce yourself to us, who you are, and I will ask you a couple of very complicated questions.
Like the batch. Okay, I'm Eduardo Contreras from Aguascalientes, a little town in the middle of Mexico. I'm former of a startup of electronics. It's called Electronic Cats. We make embedded systems. So now at the Talent Land event, we made these batches that, as David said, are generally neutral. So we focus on a batch that would be hackable and functional after the event. This batch has an ESP8266 and batteries, some NeoPixels, and OLED display. So this batch is intended to represent our community that is Makers Mexico. We are probably very strong. And this okay, here he had the Tesla one. Here we have the batch. It's very shiny, so it would probably
just press the button.
Yeah. So we work with some Hackerspace and some people in all the Republic. One is Gustavo Renaga, who is watching now this view. Hello. And another Hackerspace that is in Monterrey. It's Hackerspace Monterrey. And we of Aguascalientes, that it's called the Inventor's House. Also at Inventor's House we have some projects that connects kids or teenagers with the space. We have some project it's called CatSat1, which is intended for close the Mexican teenagers and kids to the aerospatial the study of aerospatial technology.
Okay, let's we will focus on that. Just to focus a little bit about what we're seeing here. So this guy is well known as Güero.
Yeah.
which means blonde. This means blonde in Mexican language. It's actually how they call half the North Americans from above the border, above the wall that Trump is going to build. And so Güero and Sabas, that is sitting down there. There you go.
Whoa.
We will interview Sabas later, but they are working with Laura, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just ask you guys to send a hello message to to our Sandeep, our wireless developer at Arduino. So funny enough, it's interesting because, well, many of you might be watching this livecast. Arduino has a bunch of people working with us, both inside Arduino the company, but also inside the Arduino community. And these two guys, Guero and Sabas, actually are contributing to the wireless libraries.
LoRa, only the LoRa one.
Yeah, the LoRa libraries. Yeah. Well, I had no idea. So they're like, oh, do you know this guy called Sandeep? Well, Sandeep is our main, one of our main developers at Arduino. I was like, yeah, of course, he's a super nice guy, lives in Canada, like, you know, in the cold mountains or something. Nobody knows exactly where Sandeep lives. We just know he exists, because we have seen him, right? But the other day I said, oh, in Malmo it's minus 25 degrees, and he's like, you know what? Here is actually minus 40. So it's like, that's the level of the conversation. He's always better.
Even in the library.
Yeah, he's a genius writing libraries. So basically, so these guys, you're working a lot with LoRa. You were telling me this interesting thing earlier today that you were hacking this microchip LoRa libraries.
We have some troubleshoot with a microchip chip, a microchip model called RN2903, which came with some libraries, but we need to rewrite all of them because they don't work.
Okay. Well, let's make marketing. So if you people out there need anybody that knows about LoRa a lot, these two guys from Mexico know quite a lot. So they actually managed to get the engineers at Microchip to admit there was a bug. It was a serious flaw in the design. That's how actually the open source community works. You figure out something, you comment, and you let people know. Okay, and now let's talk about the space program. So we need to call Sabas as well on stage. Woo! One more chair. Come in, join, so we can. So, well, I was moving the camera. So these guys, I have to summarize before they get started. They made a balloon, a static balloon, with a box with technology in it that went up 46 kilometers, right?
Of altitude.
Yeah. So it's like 4 kilometers away from the world record. In altitude.
Bueno, creamos el picosatélite, se llama CatSat. Es un picosatélite basado en Arduino Pro Mini. Que hace 2 semanas logramos 46 kilómetros. No logramos romper un récord mundial porque lo tienen los japoneses, que son 50 kilómetros.
Okay, I will just do translation of stuff. So Sabas is going to speak in Spanish, as you noticed, and it's Mexican Spanish, which is not my specialty. So, so I'm gonna need some time to translate. But basically, he's saying that they made these CAN satellites that's controlled by an Arduino Pro Mini.
Yeah.
And they launched it a couple of weeks ago with students, and it went up 46 kilometers, and they didn't break a record because it's owned by a Japanese team. So.
Sí, el programa que tenemos actualmente es con chicos de preparatoria. Entonces, los CatSat están comúnmente para universidades y nosotros lo que estamos realizando son 40 actualmente lanzamientos de picosatélites a nivel preparatoria, donde los chicos programan y ensamblan nuestro picosatélite.
Okay, so this is actually a large event because these people are working with 40 simultaneous projects at different locations. And typically CANSATs are launched by university students, but in their case they are working with pre-university students, the guys that are in the last year at school before going to university. And as I said, they are making 40, which is quite a lot. So how do you get permissions from the Mexican government to make like 40 launches?
We didn't have to have some permission because all the launches were, I mean, 2 years ago we had like 30 launches, but only 16 of them were at the same time. And we asked permission for the airport of the town because the government really don't care about too much about these kind of topics.
Okay. En México decimos que si no existe algo que lo prohíba,
está permitido.
So in Mexico, they say that if there is nothing that actually forbids, it's actually allowed.
It's allowed.
So yeah, it's encouraging. Thank you for. Now I know. Yeah. I'm shocked. Anyway, so I think that there was also something very interesting because Sebas actually commented as I was explaining that I was making some of these hacking STEM projects that are connecting Arduino boards to Excel through a plugin to Excel called Cortana from Microsoft, actually from the Microsoft Education team. And he said that he actually figured out that there was this group of students that had made a whole control panel to represent information from their satellite.
Sí, algo que tenemos, el CAT-SAT está diseñado toda la electrónica, pero el panel de control donde se reciben todos los datos en tiempo real, lo tienen que hacer los chicos, ya sea programarlo en JavaScript, Python o algún otro lenguaje. Y hace 2 semanas encontramos que los chicos lo hicieron en Excel con el plugin de Microsoft, y ahí pueden leer mapas, los datos y tener un registro.
So basically they took advantage of one of the features, which is you can do geolocalized data, right? So you can, so they have a world map and they can map all of the information.
Yeah, the satellite gives you the information about some sensors and its own location by its GPS.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and you also have another plan, because you were telling me earlier that you're planning on doing like live video from the satellite.
Yeah.
Because right now, and this where we link the whole story, you told me that you have proven that you can do LoRa communication for 46 kilometers, which is very impressive. You can get live data from the satellite, right?
Yeah.
And the next step is getting live video from the satellite.
And yeah.
So how do you plan to transmit the video? Yeah, I'm just curious.
La idea es usar un sistema como el de los drones, FFV, pero con antenas de alta ganancia Yagi direccionadas, y vamos a usar comunicación a 1200 MHz, que es la frecuencia un poquito más baja que logramos conseguir de video, y la idea es que mínimo logremos 20 kilómetros de comunicación.
Okay, this is the nerdy stuff. So they're going to use the same communication system is used for drones, and they plan to achieve a 20 kilometers distance coverage using Yagi antennas at a frequency of 1200 megahertz, was 1.2 gigahertz, which is the optimal bandwidth or transmission frequency they have for the bandwidth they have for video, which is pretty good. I mean, yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Sí, la idea incluso es usar como los goggles que usan en las carreras de drones, que la gente pueda estar viendo.
FPV.
Ajá.
So the idea is to have live video where you will be wearing
Goggles.
like VR goggles.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually very scary. Well, I have to say no. I mean, it is very important, because some years ago in Sweden it was forbidden. They made it forbidden to fly drones while you could see with the camera, because it was considered the same as a bomb, like a guided bomb. Guided bombs are not allowed.
Yeah.
So I think the legislation has changed over time. It's not the same thing right now, but I wonder how. Again, of course, we're in Mexico, so everything that is not is not mentioned is legal.
Well, no, that topic is mentioned in our law, but we can't control the movement of the balloon, so we can't take over the place where we want to see. So in this case, it's not applicable to that topic.
Okay, fair enough. So you have some laws in Mexico for real. So that's this thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is great. There is a lot of other projects, and Sabas and Güero are actually common contributors to La Hora Maker, which is the podcast in Spanish that I run together with Cesar Garcia on a monthly basis. So I think we will hear more from you guys. So we want to thank you very much. Woo! Thank you. So we're gonna call our next guest,
Alex.
and then we're gonna have a huge party here. And if you're in town, you should know. You should join us. Okay, just introduce yourself briefly. Tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Alejandro Cortez. I'm better known on Twitter and social media as Mr. Hoffley. And I have a hackerspace in Guaymas, Sonora. And I found that also have the Makers Wyman's community, and I'm co-hosting a video cast called Prototipando Podcast.
There's of course room for self-promotion.
You don't to introduce myself, so that's good.
I'm just kidding, of course. I mean, that's only fair. So, but the reason why we invited you over is because you were going to talk about the project you have been making again in the field of education, right?
Yes. So the project that I'm working on, something that I started due to like personal reasons, is a rehab therapy project using Arduino and processing. So basically the project itself it's intended for kids and make a painful therapy or a stressful therapy session and turn that into a game using processing. So there's a device, an Arduino device, and using a myoelectric sensor that will get the electricity that it's generated by the muscle and then amplify it and then use that to control something in a game and then use that to store it in a file, and then you can have an objective track to see if the therapy is actually working or not, and have the therapist decide if to change something or not.
Do you have a website for this so we can tell people about?
The project itself doesn't have a website yet. I do have a first repo on GitHub. I can share the link in the chat for that, and I'm going to be posting. We have a Open Rehab, so that's kind of the name of the project. I do have a Facebook website that I haven't been able to to put everything on the web, but that's the intent, to put it in the web.
Okay, so as soon as you have it, you have to publish it on the channel, anything you have. So, but tell us more about processing, because we at Arduino love processing a lot, and you said that you've been using it a lot as well, and you have been contributing somehow.
Yes, so basically I started around 2010, and then I started to actually got involved in processing and Arduino at the same time. So I kind of learned from Daniel Schiffman book. I bought it, and then I started to learn how to code, and then I actually get in contact with him. I was able to actually work with him in his YouTube channel when he was starting. And right now, actually tomorrow, I'm going to give a workshop on particle systems with processing. And what I really like about processing is that it's very easy to communicate with Arduino, and actually have used it for one hackathon for the International Space App Challenge, where you can, I made a glove that you can interact and change. The purpose was to have a glove for the astronaut to control like a arm robot in space, or get like biometric data from his body to see if the oxygen is good, the temperature is good, and so I did that. And I also did a remake of the Duck Hunt from the NES, using all the images, and I did all the animations, and that was pending to be posted on GitHub. So my intent to that is to rebuild the NES gun using Arduino to actually relieve the Duck Hunt in a digital way.
So what is going on in Mexico? Everybody are doing space projects. So like Sebas and where we're talking about one, you're talking about another one.
Yes.
Is it a common thing at makerspaces to be working with space-related projects?
Well, I think it's just like a really nice coincidence, because I was working with a community in Obregon City, which is called Tomato Valley, and then they were as like a local event for NASA. So the International Space App Challenge is like worldwide, and they're hosted. They have a place there, so they participate in that. And I think on Mexico City also have one. So I think it's just a nice coincidence that we're doing space project.
Okay, and can you tell us? Because you said you have a Hackerspace as well. Can you tell us about other projects that are happening there? Because we had people coming from all over Mexico here today.
About the Hackerspace that I have? I started opening the doors for actually my house just one day of the week, and I have there's mostly software developers, and that's just like funny. They're just people that comes there, and one of them they are actually building. They were building like a beer pong kind of robot where you can put the glasses on top of it, put it in the table, and have some ultrasonic sensors, so that you will have the robot going around like crazy in the table, and you have to put the ping pong balls in it. So that's one of the projects that we're working on that.
Okay. So it's drinking gets hackers together.
Yeah. Well, and get ideas flowing. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting concept. Okay. Do we have? We are asking whether anybody from La Nave Makerspace came. Well, you guys from La Nave? No. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, nobody from La Nave is here. La Nave is one of the makerspaces in Mexico City, yes. Right? Mm-hmm. Hackergarage is another makerspace in Mexico. I think there's like 3 big ones in Mexico City. Mm-hmm. I'm Projectil. Yeah. Is there anybody from Projectil in the house? No, they will not make it. Sad story. So tomorrow I would actually be transmitting at 7 p.m. CST time from Hackergarage. Actually, I will be at Hackergarage in the Zócalo, which is like a beautiful place. I don't know why they want to move, but it's. You have all of the saints in the corridor and stuff. Yeah. So, do we have anybody else that would like to tell us about the project? Monterrey. So Monterrey is coming in. So here we go. Please introduce yourself and tell us all about it.
Okay, well, my name is Eden Candelas. I'm from Monterrey City, here in the north of Mexico. As the same as Inventor House, HackerGarage, Barracuda, we started Hackerspace nearly 6 years ago. There was a group of people that we get contacted in mail, and we say that it's okay to open a Hackerspace here in Monterrey. We have everything that we can do for having a space, so we started. It has been continually working. We do a lot of workshop. We teach mainly Arduino stuff. One of the biggest things that we do is doing Arduino workshops. But also we have started another project. One of the biggest one is Ahua Lab. The Ahua Lab is a collective where hackers, artists mix it together in order to create like these imaginary projects. We have one that is called El Bosque Encantado, or the Enchanted Forest, yeah, and we have it presented on the north of the country, and we have nearly get into it like 200,000 people around this event, and it's a web page around that is called ahualab.com, and we also collaborate with all the hackerspaces in Mexico, with all the Makers Mexico community, that is Hackergarage, Inventor House. We share hackathons, we share this event like Talentland, and we are here just taking a time with this good guy.
Okay. Well, they were saying that you look like my brother, so I'm just like the young brother, because I have a lot more white. Look at this. I have a lot more white. Yeah. Also, I have to ask, how old are you?
35.
Yeah, you would be like my brother.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is interesting. Since you're here, could you explain us, because somebody explained it earlier, so maybe you can tell the story about why Makers Mexico. So how does it show up? It's like an association of all the makers in Mexico. How does it work?
Okay. Well,
you even have like nice T-shirts and everything. So
yeah. It's something that like started like actually 4 years ago, when all of us meet in the campus party, 2005, I think, and we didn't know each other, but everyone has these different spaces, no? Aguascalientes, Mexico City, Monterrey, and we came together. We realized that we have all these things in common, and it happened that it was like we were friends for a long time ago, but we really just met physically, and we started to collaborate. And there was a Facebook group that is called Makers Mexico, where the group was growing, and we start to post everything that we do there, and we create this WhatsApp group with all the people that is involved on the Hackerspaces are related, and we get in contact, and that's how we coordinate to make the shares, to have parties on Aguascalientes where we do conferences, coming here, for example, for the event here in Talentland, the people from Hacedores, they manage all of us, all of the Hackerspaces, do workshops, do conferences, and we are like a big community that is not just from cities, but for the country.
Okay, so I was actually talking about this with Simone Gertz today.
Yeah.
I had lunch with her. And she was telling me that she was really impressed about the fact that Mexico is like so well connected.
Okay.
Like, well, Simon comes from Sweden, I come from Sweden, I can tell you there is like no real connection between makerspaces. In Spain, for example, it's working really well. Actually through Cesar from Laura Maker, among other people. But here in Mexico, it seems like you guys have like a really nice ongoing relationship.
We're working. I mean, I just as Alex that is here also. He just we have this podcast that we were like thinking about. Oh, there are these other podcasts in the US, like the AMP Hour or the Embedded, that talks about technology and get like all the community together with showing people that what other people are doing. We're trying to do the same, but for the Latin American countries, and we are this platform in order to keep connecting all the people.
Okay, you have another opportunity to make some blatant marketing.
Yeah.
Tell us the name of the podcast.
The podcast is Prototipando Podcast. It's like prototyping podcast, but it's Prototipando Podcast. We have 3 months right now, and we are. I mean, every week we do live streaming in order to talk about tech, space, robotics. Different teams, Electronic Frontier Foundation, open source, open hardware. I mean, we try to speak about all this.
So it's as nerdy as it can be.
Yeah.
And in Mexican.
In Mexican, Mexican and Spanish. And actually, one of the good things is that every new session that we have on this streaming, there is people from Peru, from Argentina, from Colombia seeing us. So it's been really interesting, and we're, pushing for that.
That's great. So so there is actually quite a lot going on. So I was gonna say, so let's say I am a teenager, right? In whatever place. How can I connect them with this maker scene in Mexico? Do you have like a website people can go and register and meet other people? But how can I be part of the WhatsApp channel? This is kind of like the question.
Yeah, actually, it's the point is getting close to the hackerspaces or makerspaces that are near to you. There is this center point that is the Facebook group that is Makers Mexico.
Okay.
Everyone comes there.
So Facebook is the place.
Yeah, Facebook right is the place right now. We chat over there, and if you really want to get into it, get close to the hackerspace in your city, and if there is no hackerspace in your city, open one. Get with people together and start to working to make a community in there, and then be part of this biggest thing that is Makers Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're gonna call Sabas for the last time on stage, because there's another thing he has to talk about, because as you know, there is the Hackerspace passport that has existed for a while, but this guy here, he contributed by pushing to have one in Spanish. So tell us everything about it. So how did you come with the idea that we needed to have one in Spanish?
Bueno, la idea que tenemos como Makers México es difundir más la parte del idioma español. Hay poco contenido en español, hay demasiado en inglés. Entonces lo que queremos es difundir tutoriales, contenido en español. Y a raíz de eso nace la parte de que ya existía algo en inglés, existía algo en chino, pero faltaba algo en español.
Okay, so it's funny because I have to translate something like this in Spanish. And it's complaining about that everything is made in English. But so what Sebastian said is that it's a fact in the technology world. It's a lot of things that are happening in English, are not in Spanish, and they from the Makers Mexico community, they're really inspired about, or they're really motivated about like producing more and more content in Spanish. And then so these guys thought like we should have a Hackerspace passport that has already been made in English and also in Chinese. And you also about time that we had in Spanish, so you made a Kickstarter, right? That's how it went.
Así es, como mencionó Eden, tenemos un grupo en Facebook y en WhatsApp, entonces ahí nos coordinamos todos y que como de Inventor House lanzamos el Kickstarter, pero en realidad toda la comunidad apoyó para que el proyecto saliera adelante, que era un mínimo de 1000 pasaportes.
So they launched a Kickstarter, but even though they were launched from Inventor's House, which is the place where Sabas is coming from, they decided, I mean, it was actually a community effort, but somebody had to be representing legally for the whole thing. And they went for 1,000 passports. So how many did you actually make in the end? How many?
Pues la idea es que tiene, o sea, ¿cuántos? 1000.
Exactly 1,000.
Ah, ok. Son 1000 los que teníamos que pedir, que es el mínimo que nos permitía la imprenta. Entonces ahí ahora sí que decimos dinero. Y igual los Hackerspace que participaron están en el contenido, o sea, todos los Hackerspace que están aquí, o bueno, no todos, pero incluso está Makerspace Madrid, que estuvieron dando difusión y contribuyeron.
So all of the Makespaces and so on that participated got their, I think we can put this closer to the camera because otherwise it's hard to see. They got watermarks in the different pages of the passport. So that's the idea. And even Makerspace Madrid is there, that traditionally contributes to a lot of stuff that happens in Spanish. So that's super nice. And but I think there's a story about that you were lucky just a little bit to make 1,000, right? Creo que había una historia que pues faltaba un poquito para conseguir los 1000.
Ah, sí. Lo que pasaba es que, bueno, ya casi todas las comunidades habían contribuido y no teníamos, bueno, no había más aportaciones, faltaba poco tiempo. Lo que hicimos fue pedir ayuda a Talentland, lo que es el evento, decirle, oye, pues necesitamos apoyo para poder lograrlo. Y nos dijeron, sí, adelante, yo les contribuyo con la mitad. Y al final lo que faltaban como, no sé, como 2,000 pesos o algo así. Los chicos del proyectil dijeron, yo adelante, yo lo pongo, ¿no? Pero sí, ya faltaban como 3 días y así de, no lo vamos a lograr. Pero al resto a la comunidad también y Talent Network que nos, pues en realidad nos ha unido a todos aquí en Guadalajara. Es como logramos hacer.
Okay, so is the thing, all of the communities had already contributed and they were still not reaching the 1,000 passports. So they looked for a sponsor that helped out and covered for almost half the money that was missing. And they were like 3 days to go and they were like in 2,000 pesos. Like it was very dramatic. So the guys from project, they were like, yeah, we like, put the 2,000 pesos. We contribute and close this topic. So I think it's very interesting actually, because one of the problems we have is as a Spanish speaking community, I think, is that we don't have critical mass. We are many different countries and people think they are too far to be part of something, right? Like, so it's always complicated. Digo que como estamos en diferentes países siempre es muy difícil pensar que tenemos masa crítica.
Sí.
And so I'm going to just ask a final question, I think. It's going to be about the Talent Land, because what Saba said is that Talent Land has contributed to actually make this passport, but has contributed to get the makers to come. So I will just ask the question about how have you guys have got organized around the Talent Land event? ¿Cómo se habéis organizado alrededor del evento de Talent?
Pues lo que hemos hecho es grupos de WhatsApp. A veces es complicado porque los temas son, bueno, cuando alguien entra en polémica, digamos, es difícil moderarlos, pero al final pues todos tenemos como un objetivo en común. Creo que internamente todos nos hemos puesto de acuerdo en que la comunidad debe de crecer y que debemos de darle difusión a nuestras comunidades, tanto a nivel México como Latinoamérica.
Okay. So basically, to organize all of the Makers Mexico to arrange this big event, they use WhatsApp. So it's like WhatsApp to the power. But it's very interesting because, well, you haven't been to the Talentland show. Talentland, just to summarize, is the event that's happening this whole week in Mexico City, Guadalajara, Jalisco. I'm just mixing in my head. In Guadalajara, Jalisco. And I don't know how many, do you guys have numbers, how many people have come to the event? More than 20,000. So it's more than 20,000 people from all over Mexico. And there is like a big representation from the makers community in Mexico, where there is a big like makerspace on site. So there is like CNC machines and laser cutters, 3D printers, carpentry. We were soldering batches. So I soldered Tesla today. People are working there live, and there's a lot of workshops. So it's actually really well organized. So, and you even had sponsorship in this case from Sterem, which is the Mexican Radio Shack, right? So I think it took 19 months to arrange the whole Talentland show. They told me yesterday. Like the whole event, todo el evento tomó 19 meses. Preparar. Sí. Okay, does anybody have anything else to say? No? Okay, let's give a round of applause, like, woo! So thank you very much. Thanks for coming. This was Arduino's LiveCast number 4.
David fue el segundo patrocinador del pasaporte.
Gracias, David. So I was the second one buying passports. I bought 10 passports for me, my daughter, my girlfriend, the 2 cats. Because we are all going to travel from Hackerspace to Hackerspace. I was just closing. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, HackerGarage, for having us here. I'm sorry for the technical issues, but they will be solved tomorrow. We will be transmitting from yet another makerspace in Mexico. And I hope to see you in the next livecast. And just to summarize, if you're interested in more Spanish-speaking content, there is the Prototipando podcast. And there is La Hora Maker podcast. So guys, connect and let's keep on talking. Thank you very much and see you on the internet.
Yeah.